You said he's an untruthful president.
Yeah,
Are you calling no question?
Yeah, no question. I mean, we grew up in our family not using the L word, okay? But yeah, I mean, they're provable untruths. Provable. So, I mean, on the Iran deal, everybody knows the role I played there, and they're working with me, interestingly, right now on tax reform. I made the deal with Toomey that, has allowed that to go forward. Obviously, I want to make sure it's done properly, and then everything else. I mean, 4 times he encouraged me to run and told me he would endorse me. So I don't know. It's amazing. Unfortunately, I think world leaders are very aware that much of what he says is untrue. Certainly people here are, because these things are provably untrue. I mean, they're just factually incorrect, and people know the difference. So I don't know why he lowers himself to such a low standard and debases our country in the way that he does, but he does. And, look, I don't like responding. You can let them go unanswered, but and it's just not me we don't do tweets like that. We've responded twice to, again, untruths, but it's unfortunate that our nation finds itself in this place.
Is the President of the United States a liar?
The President has great difficulty with the truth on many issues.
Do you regret supporting him in the election?
Well, let's just put it this way. I would not do that again. So
you wouldn't support him again?
No way. No way. No, I think that he's proven himself unable to rise to the occasion. I think many of us, me included, have tried to, I've intervened. I've had private dinner. I've been with him on multiple occasions to try to create some kind of aspirational approach, if you will, to the way that he conducts himself. But I don't think that that's possible, and he's obviously not going to rise to the occasion as president.
Do you think he's a role model to children in the United States?
No.
You don't?
No, absolutely not. I think that, the things that are happening right now that are harmful to our nation, whether it's the breaking down of, we're going to be doing some hearings on some of the things that he purposely is breaking down, relationships we have around the world that have been useful to our nation. But I think at the end of the day, when his term is over, I think the debasing of our nation, the constant non-truth telling, the name calling, the things like, I think the debasement of our nation will be what he'll be remembered most for, and that's regretful. And it affects young people. I mean, we have young people who, for the first time, are, watching a president stating, absolute non-truths, non-stop, personalizing things in the way that he does, and it's very sad for our nation. So,
do you trust him with access to the nuclear codes?
I don't want to go into, I don't want to here. We're going to be, in our hearing process, certainly we're going to be addressing the fact that he, with only the one other person on the defense side, has tremendous powers. And, I have again, I don't want to carry this much further, but look, I expressed concerns a few weeks ago about his leadership and just his stability and the lack of desire to be competent on issues and understand, and nothing has changed. And but again, I don't want to make this a daily issue. Work that we need to do, and he currently is the person that, from the executive side, we have to deal with. And the shame of it is, there are some really good people around him, and if he would stay out of their way and let them perform, people like Tillerson and Mattis and others, we could really make progress on things that matter greatly to our country.
All right, a remarkable interview. Let me tell you how we got here. President Trump is headed to Capitol Hill shortly to have lunch with Republican senators to talk about tax cuts. Senator Bob Corker, even before this interview with Manu, did a round of interviews this morning talking about tax cuts. He said he didn't believe that the president has the skill or the commitment to shepherd through the type of tax reform that Bob Corker would like to see. The president responded on Twitter, really lashing out. He said Bob Corker, who helped President O give us the bad Iran deal and couldn't get elected dog catcher in Tennessee, is now fighting tax cuts. Corker dropped out of the race in Tennessee when I refused to endorse him and now is only negative on anything Trump. Look at his record. And then as Senator Corker was talking to Manu, the president tweeted, "Isn't it sad that light white Senator Bob Corker, who couldn't get reelected in the great state of Tennessee, will now fight tax cuts plus?" Now, we don't know if Bob Corker is going to fight tax cuts. We know that he didn't support the president's Iran deal. He voted against President Obama's Iran deal. And Bob Corker says it's a lie that the president said he would not endorse him if he decided to run for re-election in Tennessee. Senator Corker said the president offered that endorsement. That is how we got to this point in that interview that Manu Raju had with Senator Corker. Manu joins me right now. And Senator Corker, after he talked to you, kept on talking. And again, this all sets the stage for this Republican Senate lunch today.
Yeah, no question about it. And it really sets the stage of what Corker is trying to do in his final year or so in office, is that he's trying to take it to the president and try to steer him in a direction away from what Corker views as a reckless direction. He thinks that he's trying to ratchet up the pressure on the president, speaking out against him in rather stark terms when he believes the president is on the wrong side of the issues. One thing that we need to be mindful of, John, is that Corker said that he's going to use his committee to spotlight a number of things that he believes that the president has done incorrectly in the world, things that they've done to tarnish relationships around the world. His powerful perch along the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he's going to use that as a vehicle of sorts to go after the president over his policy and his decisions and his tweets. Corker really has not left back. After he talked to me, he did talk to other reporters too. I was in that gaggle. He reiterated a lot of the same things that he said to me. I tried to ask him, John, if he thought the president should be removed from office. He would not answer that question. And he also would not answer the question, a notable question earlier in my interview when I asked him, does he trust the president with access to the nuclear codes? He would not say if he did trust the president on that issue as well. But remarkable to hear a sitting United States senator from the same party as the president saying that he does not believe the president is a role model to children. That was a stunning statement, believing that the president has debased this country, and something that we'll see if other Republican senators join in. But of course, he is retiring, giving him more freedom to speak out. But he's particularly incensed at the president for what he believes are essentially lies that the president has said about his running for re-election. The president saying he's not running because the president did not offer an endorsement. That is flatly untrue, according to Corker. On 4 separate occasions, Corker said Trump said that he would endorse him for that if he ran again. It really has led to this snowballing of effect, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. And certainly the president himself is not backing down, neither is Bob Corker. John.
All right, Manu Raju, again, remarkable interview on Capitol Hill for us. We should note we are waiting to hear from House Republican leaders right now. Paul Ryan and his colleagues holding a news conference may be asked questions about this. If we know Paul Ryan, he'd rather chew glass, I think, than answer questions about the fight between Bob Corker and President Trump. But we will take you there if it in fact does happen. Joining me now, CNN political analyst April Ryan and CNN political commentators Anna Navarro and Jason Miller. Anna and Jason, I think you're going to have a bit of a disagreement on what we've heard this morning. So I'm going to start with April, if you don't mind. And April, you've covered the White House for a long time. And just put this in context when you have a senator from a member of the president's own party lashing out, like we just heard from Senator Corker. The debasement of our nation is what he will be most remembered for.
And that's not a Democrat saying that. That is someone in his own party. You know, this is something that we've been hearing quietly by Republicans. They're calling press, they're calling many of us saying this. They won't give voice to it or give their name to it. But now you have a name, you have a face, you have someone on camera. I mean, of course, we've heard from Senator John McCain, who will not call out the president's name, and we've heard them going back and forth. But this is someone new, someone who is giving voice to it, giving a face to it. And yes, you know, this president is anti-climate change, pro-life, pro-gun, pro-marriage. He's not for same-sex marriage. This is what the Republicans love, and he's pro-life and everything like that. But the other stuff is the problem. And for this senator to say this, I believe we'll start hearing other senators who feel safer in their districts, or congressional leaders who feel safer in their districts to give voice to this and give their face to this, because we've been hearing this for so long behind the scenes, and now it's out. And of course, Senator Corker doesn't have anything to worry about. You know, he's not committing political suicide. He is not running again. So, but he is in the Bible Belt. There are still some in that community who love this president.
Jason Miller, you know, you worked for the president's campaign. You worked in the transition. You're still very loyal to the White House. What's your reaction to this today?
Well, John, I spoke with a senior administration official late last night to get a sense of what this lunch was going to look like today, and they sounded very excited. A lot of optimism, especially after the president's leadership to help move the House so much further along on the budget and on the tax-cutting process. And so to see Senator Corker wake up this morning and effectively act as a surrogate for the DNC is very disappointing. This is way out of sorts of the mainstream for where most Republicans are, who want to get tax cuts done, who want to push forward on President Trump's agenda. And the thing that really struck me from Senator Corker this morning is his line saying that we need to leave it to the professionals. And I would ask him, professionals like whom? Like Hillary Clinton? I mean, keep in mind that Senator Corker loved President Trump when he wanted to be the vice president or the Secretary of State. And to now see this clapback from him this morning, really undercutting the lunch, I think is unfortunate. But look, I think President Trump is going to be focused today, talking about tax cuts, trying to build broader consensus to get this done. Thank goodness we have Senators Portman and Hatch and Toomey that are really leading the charge. One other thing, John, that we haven't heard folks talk about this morning that I think you're going to see in the lunch is the president really make the case that we need to get his nominations through. Too many are being held up for silly, frivolous reasons. The American people need to have these folks in their positions to help move us forward, and so look for the president to make a push there too.
Just one quick point before I turn it over to Anna, who I know has a lot to say here, but when he was talking about leave it to the professionals, he was talking specifically about Rex Tillerson there. He was not talking about Hillary Clinton. Now, Anna, your response.
You know, listening to Bob Corker today, frankly, gave me a heavy heart. First of all, I hope that courage is contagious and that a lot of those Republicans that are talking behind the scenes and are talking in whispers, like April says, look at what Corker is saying and realize that they too have a duty to speak. Corker is not being the spokesperson for the DNC. He's being the spokesperson for the Republicans who feel they cannot speak, Republicans who have lost their spine. And, you know, it gave me a heavy heart because, look, Bob Corker is inherently a very nice guy. He's a very civil Southern guy, type of guy that says ma'am and sir, who can't bring himself to say the word lie, so he says untruth. He's also a loyal Republican. He is a team player. He's very serious about policy issues, particularly foreign policy issues. This is a guy who supported this president, who wanted to work with this president and gave this president a chance. I think he turned sour on Donald Trump during Charlottesville, where we first heard Bob Corker before retiring, before making the decision of retiring and not running again. When we first heard Bob Corker come out and criticize very vocally what Donald Trump's actions and words were, was after Charlottesville, and it's grown since then. I think what you are seeing is a man that is being led by his principles, by his conscience, by his duty to his constituents, and by his love of country.
1 second. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan is taking questions. Let's listen in.
The president is coming up here to brief some of your colleagues in the Senate, supposed to be talking about tax reform, but much of this morning is a back and forth, a further escalation with this feud with Senator Corker. What does that do to your efforts at tax reform if the president can't stay focused?
I don't think it changes our efforts on tax reform. I know Bob, who supported the budget, wants to get tax reform. I know the president wants to get tax reform. I'm glad they're coming. I'm glad the president's coming to lunch because I long believe that it's best just to settle these things in person, and I hope that they can get a chance to do that. Sherman. Oh, wait. So you're going to go on?
When you guys were getting up on a midterm last time in 2016, you traveled a lot saying Republicans should get the keys to the government because we're responsible, somber, sober leaders of government. And the president's, saying the guy can't get elected dog catcher. Corker's calling him a liar. Like, what should voters think about this going into the midterm election?
What they should think about are the results we achieve for the American people. So you know what we're focused on? What's within our control, and what's within our control here in Congress is getting stuff done for the American people and getting a healthier economy, bigger paychecks, more take-home pay. That, to me, is what's important. At the end of the day, I know Bob well. Bob's going to vote for Tennessee. He's going to vote for America. He's going to vote for tax reform because he knows it's in the best interest of Americans. So put this Twitter dispute aside. The fact is we have a historic chance of actually fixing this tax code, giving people pay raises, and getting the American economy growing at the rate where we can actually get bigger paychecks, more take-home pay, a healthier economy. That's what matters. So all this stuff you see on a daily basis on Twitter this and Twitter that, forget about it. Let's focus on helping people, improving people's lives, and doing the things that we said we would do that accomplishes that. That's what we're focused on. You going to ask about this? Or all right, good. Yeah, fine.
Objecting to proposed pay fors, how do you plan to lower rates without any pay fors?
I would love to answer that question because that's what the Ways and Means Committee chairman does. But I'm going to have to defer you to Kevin Brady. The Ways and Means Committee, they're the ones who hold the pen on this thing. They're the ones negotiating this bill, writing this bill. So all these questions will be answered very shortly when the Ways and Means Committee puts out their mark. But if you have any specific questions you want to ask about it, I would encourage you to ask the Ways and Means Committee because this is their jurisdiction.
Last question. Are we on track to finish this by deer season?
Yeah, in the House, yes. So there's different deer seasons. There's bow season, there's gun season, there's muzzleloader season. So yeah. So you see with a beard, you'll know when the season is. No, so yeah, we get this done by Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving week is opening week of gun season. So our goal is to get it out of the House by then. The Senate's going to be a little slower on their track because, as you know, tax goes first in the House. That's the Constitution. By muzzleloader season, I can't remember exactly when muzzleloader season. Let me check with the Wisconsin muzzleloader season. I usually just do bow in December. So our goal is to get it done by the end of this year.
I thought you were giving it up, if that's what it meant for tax reform.
That's right. We'll give up Christmas if we have to for tax reform. That's what I said before. Okay, you're going to quote me on that, aren't you? I'm just joking about that. We're going to get this done. Yeah, look at Casey. Yeah, you guys are going to. You're staying here with us too. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Look, so that's what conference committees are all about. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan there, more or less pleading with reporters to not ask more questions about this white-hot feud between Senator Bob Corker, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Republican, and the President of the United States right now. When he did answer questions, he had an historic-level dodge. He said he's just glad that the president is headed up to Capitol Hill today to have a lunch where Senator Corker will be so they have a chance to work things out. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Why do I say that? Because as Speaker Ryan was talking, we had yet another statement from the President of the United States about Bob Corker. Let me read it to you. Senator Corker is the incompetent head of the Foreign Relations Committee, and look how poorly the U.S. has done. He doesn't have a clue. And then the ellipses right there indicating that there could be more coming. We'll bring it to you when it happens. Joined again by April Ryan, Anna Navarro, and Jason Miller. In April, something very important also happened this morning. It was during Manu's interview with Senator Corker. Manu asked Senator Corker if he regrets supporting the president, and Senator Corker says he would not do it again. Is that now a question, April, that will be posed to the other 51 sitting U.S. Republican senators?
You know, the question is, it's not just about the senators, it's about the American public. There's a lot of buyer's remorse right now. And, you know, since this president has been in office, we've seen a lot of different things. And going back to what Anna said, Charlottesville was a watershed moment for this president. This was a major moment. This is one of the markers for this president. And how he handled it, it turned a lot of people off. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of Republicans, people who used to be in administrations in Washington, and they're saying, you know, we have to do something about this. Something is wrong. So it's not just about the senators. But I'm thinking about what Paul Ryan also said about the president. You know, someone asked him about how the president handles things.
Right.
He says, yes, he uses different language. That was a euphemistic way to talk about the president who comes off brash in a different way. He's like a bull in a china shop. And it's, I don't know, I don't think it's just about leadership in Washington. It's about the American public as well.
But April, you know, and I know you say you've heard from Republicans. Anna Navarro, you say that Senator Corker is speaking for Republicans. But I spoke to Roger Wicker, senator from Mississippi, who, by the way, Steve Bannon wants to unseat. So if Roger Wicker was looking for a reason to be upset with the president, there's one right there. And Roger Wicker told me that Senator Corker's statements are unhelpful, Anna. So it's not like we publicly see that many U.S. elected Republicans speaking out like Bob Corker.
Oh, I think you're right. We're not seeing it publicly. We are seeing more do it publicly. We are seeing people like George W. Bush speak out publicly. We are seeing John McCain speak out publicly. Look, I too, like Paul Ryan, I'm glad that Donald Trump is going to this Republican lunch today in the Senate. And I hope that people like Senator Ben Sasse, that people like Senator Jeff Flake, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John McCain, Bob Corker, speak to him frankly. He needs to be reminded that the Senate and the House, they're not his minions. They're not his enablers. They are his co-equals. They are a co-equal branch of government, and they deserve respect. They should not be bullied. They should not be bullied by being threatened with primaries or being threatened and being the target of morning Twitter tirades. Frankly, this morning, I'm just glad he's tweeting against Bob Corker and not a Gold Star family. That's where we are in 2017. That gives me some grade of relief. But Republicans need to talk frankly with this president.
Right.
They need to stand up to him because we're 9 months into this and it's not getting any better. It is getting much, much worse.
All right, I promised you that the ellipses told us that President Trump was going to have even more to say about Bob Corker. Let me read it to you now. I'll read you the whole tweet. Senator Corker is the incompetent head of the Foreign Relations Committee, and look how poorly the U.S. has done. He doesn't have a clue as, now he added, the entire world was laughing and taking advantage of us. People like little Bob Corker have set the U.S. way back. Now we move forward. You know, Jason Miller, I know you're saying the president and the White House want to look forward. They want to get tax cuts done. But reading these tweets, it'd be hard not to have the sense that the president has had his feathers ruffled this morning. So does it sting at all to get this criticism? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think anyone would be annoyed that on here's a day that we're going to get together and talk about tax cuts that are going to lead to paycheck increases for American workers, that this one rogue senator decided to get out there and take a position that's completely out of line with the rest of the Republican Party. Look, I think that Speaker Ryan had the exact right tone, which was he was upbeat, he is enthusiastic, he wants to talk about the agenda and what we're trying to do for people, and I think that's where most Republicans are. Look, the economy is doing great. I think we're reasserting our standing on the world stage, and I don't know what the heck was in Senator Corker's oatmeal this morning, but it's completely out of sorts with where I think the rest of the party is. And again, I got to go back to the point, especially with those comments that he was making to Manu earlier. This man wanted to be VP and he wanted to be Secretary of State, and he didn't get either position. And so now to come back and make these comments about, well, I'm not sure if I would support the president again. I think that really speaks to, I think that makes him look very small.
No, it really, you know what it speaks to? It speaks to the fact that Bob Corker had hope that Donald Trump would grow into the presidency, that he would assume the gravitas of the position. And instead, now 9 months later, he is disgusted and disappointed with what he has seen. A president who continues to be infantile.
Anna, April, the sky is not falling. We're going to get tax cuts through. Everyone's going to get a tax cut.
Some people think it is. Some people actually, even in the Republican Party, they believe it is falling on the international stage.
April, it's not. No one thinks the sky is falling, April.
I'll tell you what. Let's hope it does not fall.
Don't discredit me. Trust me. I can give you the names of some Republicans and Democrats if you want to know.
Okay, fire away. Fire away. I mean,
this discussion will only
Jason,
get...
I just named 6. You say one rogue senator. I said John McCain. I said Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Ben Sasse, Jeff Flake, and Bob Corker. That's almost 15% of the Republican caucus.
They're all on board. They're all on board with tax cuts as well. We're going to get it done. Senator Corker,
but they're also
way outside
of the Hang on. Is what we're going to do. Guys, April, we got 10 seconds left. Go ahead.
Yes.
April?
What will the luncheon really look like today? Yes, I said, what will the luncheon look like today? The question is, they're fighting back and forth, and the president, when he feels his back is against the wall, he lashes out. So the question is, will it be about policy or will it be about his anger?
I don't know, man, but I hope they hand out antacids.
That's right. Anna Navarro, April Ryan, Jason Miller. This will be one special lunch, to be sure. Thank you all so much for being with us. Appreciate it. We have other news at 24 minutes after the hour. New